Hello, thanks for dropping by my channel, and for those who are subscribed, thank you for subscribing, and for those who haven't subscribed, please do. The more the merrier. Without further ado, we'll jump right into it. This is part one of an OSINT investigation into the disappearance of Rose Marie Bly. Let's clear up some rumours. First, Brandi Wells is not related to Candus at all. This is Brandi's mother, who, I might add, has had her work cut out keeping the Summer Wells trolls out of her Facebook group.
Her mother saying, in her eyes, more could have been done to find her daughter. KETK's Casey Koviak breaks down what happened in the disappearance of Brandi Wells back in 2006.
If somebody does have her, are they taking care of her? But I'm not going to give up until I find my child.
A message which echoes more than a decade later.
There's a very good possibility that she is still alive out there, and I don't want to give up on her.
So please leave the poor woman alone. Now, to address all the other rumours, I have attempted to investigate the Rose Marie Bly case respectfully and find information the police have put out there and info from direct relatives or witnesses. As of July, Andrew Vitalis is the lead investigator, and he's none too happy about all the Summer Wells shenanigans in his Facebook group. This is what he posted a few weeks ago. Folks, my name is Andrew Vitalis and I'm the lead investigator in the Rose Bly case. I am currently on vacation, but I am aware of what is happening in Tennessee and have been in contact with the appropriate authorities. I will say again, if you have any pertinent information related to the Rose Bly investigation, please do not post anything on Facebook, and instead contact the Polk County Sheriff's Department, and I or another officer will get back to you as soon as possible. This page is meant to aid Rose Bly's investigation as opposed to hinder it. Because some of the negative postings, I have been asked to address those remarks as the page administrator. The truth of the matter is I cannot and should not be the judge and jury as to what postings should be allowed and which ones should not be. With that said, if the negative comments and personal attacks continue to be posted, I'll have no choice but to suspend or permanently shut down the site, which would be a severe injustice to Rose, her family, her friends, and the community. Please do not make this Facebook page about anything other than a positive site which will hopefully lead to the resolution of her case. Thank you. So first of all, let's have a look at the map that the police drew for the Pioneer Press to publish. So number one is where her home is in St. Croix Falls. She left her home about 7:30 p.m. August 21st, according to the husband. We'll come back to that because I have some newspaper clippings on that subject. Number two, the husband reported she was going to meet a cousin the night she went missing. I also have some newspaper clippings on that. Number three, the car was found abandoned in a parking lot on August the 26th in Grantsburg. Now, it is true that both her mother and father were living around the Grantsburg area. So let's have a look at that next. But first, let's have a look at where Rose Bly was actually living when she went missing. The address was 2372 River Road, St. Croix, Wisconsin, and she was living with her husband and his father. As you can see, it is very rural. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's no houses to be seen, no neighbours to witness her comings and goings from the property. The approximate distance between her home and where her car was found is around 30 miles. Now, I'm not going to dox her parents' public records, but I will show you the registered address of Kenneth Bly around that time. So far as public records show, Mr. Bly stayed at that same address up until he passed away this year, May this year to be exact. This address is approximately 13 miles from Grantsburg. It appears that Candus Hara did not share this address with Kenneth Bly during this period. Now, I was unable to locate the laundromat, which I don't think exists anymore, but Candus Hara lived approximately 2 miles-ish from the state road. Again, I'm not going to dox Candy's information on YouTube. That would be unethical. But I'm told that with a $20 subscription, a resident of the United States can find these public records themselves to have a look. Now, I'm going to chuck up a timeline that somebody in the Facebook group was kind enough to put together so we can see what sort of information has been gathered. On the 19th of August 2009, Rose made a phone call with Candy, and on the 19th of August 2009, she made a phone call with a friend. On the 21st of August, she was buying a new mobile phone at the mall. She was getting dressed and she left the property at 7:17. Now, they say her husband reported her missing on the 22nd, which is missing from this timeline. On the 25th of August, the police begin investigating. And then on the 26th of August, they find the vehicle. Now, there have been sightings of her. There was a sighting of her at the rear of Wolf Creek Bar with possibly 3 others on horseback within 1 week of her disappearance. There may have been a head injury from falling from a horse. There was a sighting of her returning from a woman's refuge within a week of her disappearance. And she returned from a stay with her mother in Grantsburg in the months prior. Anyway, this is one of the last selfies that Rosie took before she went missing, and it was being provided by her husband, Christopher Larson. So, given that he has provided this photo, it's probably safe to assume that he has her mobile phone. Now, I'm going to read this article by Twin Cities' Andy Rathburn, which gives us a rundown. It was written on the 17th of October 2009. Gives us a rundown of the initial information that was put out. One night in August, Rose Marie Bly disappeared. Her mother said the St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin woman who disappeared less than a month before her 22nd birthday is a loving mother who would never leave her 2 young children, and police say no one they have talked to has said otherwise. Bly's car was found abandoned 4 days after she was reported missing, but there's been no trace of her. Investigators scoured her phone records, drained a lake, and followed up on several reports of sightings, none of which proved to be her. So where is she? If she walked away, if she harmed herself, if somebody else harmed her, there's just so many possibilities, said investigator Pete Johnson with the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Nothing right now gives any more weight to any one of those theories. The mystery of what happened to Bly has left those who care about her as stumped as those who are looking for her. "I'm just at wit's end because I don't know what happened," said her mother, Candy Hara of Grantsburg. She doubts her daughter, who wanted to be a children's book author, would have left on her own. She was an amazing mother who would never leave her children, Hara said. "I think I have heard that from just about everybody we talked to," said Johnson, who is working the case with investigator Lisa Dittlesford. "Nobody believes that she would take off and leave her kids." Nothing appeared to be unusual in the days leading to Bly's disappearance, Dittlesford said. It was August 21st when Bly left her home about 7:30 p.m. to meet a cousin in Cushing, about 12 miles north of St. Croix. Her husband Christopher Larson told police. She never arrived. Larson reported her missing the next day. In the days that followed, police contacted anyone who might have talked to Bly before that August night, and no one said she had been thinking about running away. Investigators looked for clues in her cell phone records. The night she left was the last time it was used. Bly's car was found August 26 in a parking lot in Grantsburg, about 15 miles north of Cushing and even farther from St. Croix. The keys were missing from the white 2001 Pontiac Grand Prix, and nothing in the car indicated that a crime took place, police said. Police searched the Grantsburg area but found no new leads. Investigators are waiting on the results of DNA samples taken from Bly's vehicle, they said. A small lake about a block from where her car was found was drained, but again no clues. The wait for anything indicating where Bly is has been taxing on her mother. "Some days I'm fine, some days I'm a nervous wreck," Hara said. Bly grew up in the Grantsburg area and graduated from Grantsburg High School. She moved to St. Croix Falls a few years ago, Dittlesford said. She and Larson were married in February. They have 2 daughters, one 9 months old and the other 19 months old. Bly enjoyed riding horses, and there has been speculation that she suffered a head injury during a ride shortly before her disappearance. Her mother said Bly fell from a horse about a week before she went missing. The last time the two talked, just 2 days before her disappearance, Bly complained of headaches, said Hara, who said she advised her daughter to see a doctor. There was no evidence that she consulted with a doctor or that she had head trauma from the accident, Johnson said. People who know her also indicated Bly has had problems with depression, investigators said, and according to court records, her relationship with her husband has been rocky. Police have been called to the home in the past. Larson accused her of slapping him, and she accused him of putting her in a headlock and slamming her to the ground, according to police and court records. He filed for divorce in June, but they reconciled and he withdrew the petition. Police are trying to piece together what happened in the days before she went missing. Her husband appears to have entertained the idea that Bly left on her own. In September, he filed a divorce a second time. His attorney said Larson was concerned Bly would come back and take their children. Larson, 27, has since been granted temporary sole custody of the couple's daughters, court records state. "I hope she is okay and I hope she gets hold of somebody," Larson said when reached by phone recently. He wouldn't discuss his wife's disappearance further. Police have said Larson is not a suspect. A polygraph test he was given after Bly went missing indicated he was answering questions truthfully, Polk County Sheriff Tim Moore said. The case stands completely open and all possibilities are being pursued, Johnson said. "First, we have to find out where she is before we have anything to have a suspect for," Johnson said. "Looking for help, not rumours." Missing persons flyers and posters went up around West Wisconsin and the Twin Cities following Bly's disappearance. There have been several sightings of her reported in Wisconsin, but hopes often were quickly dashed. A report of her at a store, for example, were disproven when surveillance tape clearly showed it was not her. Still, police are asking anyone who may think they've seen Bly or have any other information in the case to give them a call. Something they think might not be important could be just what we need, said Johnson, who added that he is particularly interested in knowing whether Bly was meeting someone other than her cousin the night she went missing. While the FBI is not directly involved in the case, local detectives have been in contact with its agents to make sure investigation is on the right track. As rumours swell, police are encouraging people to take what they hear with a grain of salt. One of the rumours I hear every couple of days is that she was already found, Johnson said. We've had people telling stores to take down the missing person posters. I would urge the stores not to do that until they confirm it somewhere. Hara is left to wait for the day the posters are no longer needed. I'm hoping they will find her and bring her home, she said, or at least that she would call me and say, Mum, I'm okay. Have you seen her? Rose Marie Bly of St. Croix Falls was reported missing on the 22nd of August. She is 5 feet tall, weighs 110 pounds, and has light brown hair and brown eyes. She has a tattoo of cherries on her right ankle. Her ears and belly button are pierced. Bly was last seen wearing jeans, a V-neck sweater over a white tank top and flip-flop sandals. Anyone with information should call the Polk County Sheriff's Office. My first question is, how does her husband know that she was wearing a white tank top under her V-neck sweater? One would assume he would had to have seen her get dressed that night in order to know what she was wearing underneath her sweater. And we'll go to the next article to explain why that is the case. This article was written by Greg Marston at The Leader, 5 years after Rose went missing. It was notably chilly in Grantsburg the day before Rose Marie Bly was last seen. It had only reached the mid-60s, cool enough for a Midwestern August day to be memorable. But in reality, the details of that day and the next few to follow in this area have been scrutinised like few dates in recent memory. Climate and astronomical records show that the last time Bly was seen, it was a moonless, pitch-dark evening, an end to a day that recorded a cool 72 degrees. It would get down to 43 degrees a few hours later, again notably chilly. The chill of her case continues with the FBI Missing Persons page, which outlines Bly's status in just 58 words. Rose Marie Bly was last seen leaving a residence in St. Croix Falls en route to Cushing, a distance of 5 miles. Her car was recovered 5 days later in Grantsburg, in a parking lot typically used by truck drivers to park their tractor trailers. This parking lot is approximately 30 miles from her residence. Since the weeks after her disappearance, law enforcement has given very few updates or released any new information, and while rumours, website comments and opinions have multiplied in the more than 1800 days since, the mystery deepens, and the chill of those few days in August 2009 remains. So basically we have a general recap of the same story of that night. According to accounts of the last night she was seen, Bly had dinner with her husband, Christopher Larson, and his father. She then left for Cushing Tavern to meet a cousin for drinks and told Larson she would be home by midnight. Bly never met with her cousin and has not been seen or heard from since. She was reported missing the next day. Her vehicle was found, the keys were gone, there were no signs of a struggle, forced entry, blood, or, frankly, anything hinting that a crime had been committed. She had little cash, no credit cards, and there was no evidence indicating what had occurred. That area in Grantsburg was scoured for evidence, and investigators went door to door, as well as using a helicopter to search the area near her rural home, but nothing was found, or at least nothing authorities have chosen to share. Bly is just gone, and that does not sit well with many people. Johnson confirmed the FBI and Wisconsin Department of Criminal Investigations are now involved. This is 5 years later. Neither DCI nor FBI has offered up any new clues on the case, or made any statements, or even added to her missing persons report, although local authorities have confirmed that at least one search warrant has been executed recently, reportedly in recent months. Our official statement is that nobody is ruled out, Johnson stated, which is a clarification from several years ago when it was made public that her husband had passed a polygraph test. I can't say a whole lot about it, Johnson said this week. We've got some leads that we're working on. A couple of them appear to be promising, but we just have to wait. Now, you can read this article yourself because I'm skipping quite a bit of it. I'm going to just go to the background. Well, the couple had 2 children together and were married just over 6 months prior to her disappearance. It is no secret that they were having marital troubles that summer, and her husband had started and stopped divorce proceedings 2 months prior. He did file for divorce again several weeks after she was last seen, a move that included court orders allowing him full custody of the children. That divorce order was granted in early 2010, and records repeatedly note her disappearance, but follow through with the usual requirements of posting the notice, waiting 6 months, and the like. But they also call the marriage irretrievably broken with no chance of reconciliation. Larson's lawyer called the divorce and sole custody ruling basic protection for the children and Larson at the time, on the chance she chose to leave and may decide to come back later to claim custody, although she may petition the court if that does occur. And with the court action, it should also be pointed out that Bly has an active bench warrant from a misdemeanor disorderly conduct charge with a later amendment for domestic abuse that was filed 3 months prior to her disappearance. She pleaded not guilty in 2009, but with her disappearance, again, the courts recognise her status as a missing person, but the warrant remains. It is very possible that the active arrest warrant may be a good thing on the chance Bly is found alive outside of this area and her name is entered into any law enforcement database. While nothing official has ever come out, there have been several reports of Bly, sightings of rumours by people who both knew and did not, from a supposed sighting at a Cheddar gas station to other rumoured clues and ties to others, but nothing has ever panned out or been proven, and all of those leads have fallen flat. Anyway, as you can see from the article, the weather was pretty chilly, and Rose most definitely had her V-neck sweater on after she got out the shower that night. So, how did hubby know she had a tank top underneath? I found some other critical information in a newspaper snippet. It says, Bly's mother Candus works in Grantsburg and told authorities she had driven by the parking lot at 5 p.m. 2 hours prior to the vehicle being discovered and did not see it. She believes the helicopter search of the area that day, as well as the mass distribution of missing persons posters she and friends created and circulated, may have prompted someone to move the vehicle to the parking lot. Surveillance cameras at 2 downtown locations did not pick up the arrival of the vehicle, but may have eliminated 2 directions from which it could have entered the parking lot. And this is the important part. Authorities could not find anyone who knew of Bly's plans the evening she disappeared. She did not appear at the tavern. This is significant because most articles are saying that the cousin didn't even know she was supposed to be meeting Rose at the tavern. She had no idea of those plans, and then one of the girls who hangs out in that group that they normally would go do karaoke with at the tavern comes up with some of her own comments, and I'll read those in a moment. To this day, the only person saying that she was supposed to go to the tavern to meet a cousin is her ex-husband, Christopher Larson. Now, I'm going to go to a 2010 article written by Kylie Weaver, editor at Press Pubs. This brings another name into the story. No mother would ever hope to recognise an anniversary like the one Candus Hara acknowledged last week. A year ago last Saturday, Hara's daughter, Rose Marie Bly, then 21, of rural St Croix Falls, disappeared unexpectedly, leaving few clues as to her whereabouts. According to the Polk County Sheriff's Office, on that evening, Bly reportedly told her husband, Christopher Larson, that she was going to meet a cousin at a tavern in nearby Cushing, about 5 miles from their home. Bly never arrived and was never heard from again. Her cousin said Bly had not made plans to meet up with her, and she never saw her that night. The following Wednesday, Bly's car, a white Pontiac Grand Prix, showed up in Grantsburg Municipal parking lot. No one reportedly saw how the car got there. For Bly's mother, Candus Hara, and the rest of Bly's family, the weeks and months following Bly's disappearance have been horrific, said Rose Meyer, a family friend. It's been very tough, Meyer said. Having support from friends and family has helped some, but each day has been a challenge for Hara. Hara is sometimes good, sometimes not so good, she said in a brief interview Monday. My other daughter, Jeannie, sometimes comes by regularly, and that helps. Since that day, neither Bly's family nor the Sheriff's Department has given up hope of finding out where Bly went or what happened to her. We haven't heard or seen anything, Hara said. They are still working on it. We know of no promising leads. Polk County Sheriff Tim Moore said the investigation into Bly's disappearance has been extensive yet inconclusive. After a year of work, multiple subpoenas, digging into phone records, computer files, and countless interviews, there has been no trace. Moore said the Sheriff's Department even shipped the entire case file to FBI headquarters in Quantico, Virginia, where top missing persons analysts retrace the department's investigative steps. Moore said he was looking to put a fresh set of eyes on the case. The FBI agents conducted a conference call with the sheriff and his investigators and were complimentary of the effort the department put into the case, Moore said. Still, they were unable to uncover anything new or offer any solid advice. They had no strong suggestions on anything, Moore said. It affirms what I think I know. Even so, Meyer has been critical of the Sheriff's Department investigation. She suspects that Bly's husband was somehow involved based on the fact that the couple had squabbled and had their share of disagreements. If I had to pick a prime suspect, definitely it was Larson, Meyer said. Larson has since legally divorced Bly and obtained custody of the couple's 2 children. The Sun news agency was unable to reach Larson for comment. Though the sheriff acknowledges such tests are far from perfect, Larson passed a polygraph test and has been ruled out as a suspect, Moore said. Meyer and others have tried to keep Bly's name out there by distributing thousands of missing persons flyers at gas stations and other businesses along Highway 8 and all stops along the way. Family members and friends organised a fundraiser to possibly hire a private investigator and make a $1,500 reward for information available. The group also encouraged deer hunters to be on the lookout for anything suspicious last November and has encouraged large landowners to walk their property lines. It has been both a blessing and a curse that rumours have swirled often since Bly's disappearance. In each instance, Maya said, the rumours have been found to be blatantly false, if not exaggerated. One rumour that Bly ran off with another man has recurred often. That Bly would run off, leaving behind her children, her beloved dog, her clothing, her laptop, her money, is completely ridiculous, Maya said. Her kids were her world, and so was that damn dog, Maya said. If you're planning on running away with a boyfriend, you're going to take something. Maya attributes rumours to people speculating about the case, and others overhearing the speculation and passing it along. It's the old telephone game, Maya said. Each rumour has been harmful in its own way. Maya has called the sheriff's department with each one and has had to touch base with Hara about them. It's heartbreak all over again, Maya said. Moore met with Hara last Friday, as he does every so often. His message to her was essentially the same as since the disappearance. Nobody knows. This will obviously be a very tough week for her, Moore said. Hara still hopes and prays for her safe return. We appreciate their prayers and ask them not to forget Rose and to keep praying for her safe return, Hara said. Moore said he still believes someone out there may have information as to Bly's whereabouts, information that could help the sheriff's department find her. Someone had to have seen her or met up with her at some point, Moore said. So this Rose Maya appears in the fundraiser that Candy Hara posted on her Facebook wall. And while the police seem certain that Rose's husband appears to be being truthful with them, there's one big glaring hole in his story, and that is that the cousin has no idea what he's talking about in arranging to meet her at the tavern. Now, I did find a comment from one of the girls who is part of the group that the cousin would normally go out with Rose and the group. Her name's Nicole. She told Chris at the time that she was going to her cousin's and that I was meeting her there for all us to go out. He showed up at my parents' house the next morning and they called me, and he was on the phone asking me if I knew where his wife was. And I asked who it was that was talking to me, and he said Chris Larson. And I said, who? And he said, Rose's husband. Have you seen my wife? I said, no. And he said, well, she never came home this morning, and she was going out with you and her cousin last night. So this indicates that Nicole had no idea that she was going out to the tavern with the cousin and Rose either. Now, a lot of people attacked her, blamed her for Rose going missing and whatnot. The thing I found interesting is that Christopher Larson, the husband, decides he's going to attack Nicole's comment, and it's very surprising what he says, because it sounds like quite a bit of victim blaming going on. So Nicole wrote, I am just going to state this once and one time only, and I honestly don't care about anyone that has anything negative to try to say about me, because who you are in my life that I honestly care what any of you think of me, or how anyone could ever think that I have anything to do with my best friend's disappearance. I have not commented and held back from saying anything more because law enforcement has instructed me to do so. For those of you who are spreading around all this negative crap about me, knock it off. Everyone has a past, good or bad. No one is perfect. Facts are, though, without a doubt, that Rose was a damn good mother until her disappearance. Those girls would not have been not properly cared for. They were her life. Mr. Larson replies, so, you know this how? Let me guess, that's what Rose told you. Well, guess what? She told a lot of people a lot of different things, and they were not true, and were proven to be not true. And if you say, well, you were there, you would be a liar. Again, in the whole time I was with Rose, I saw you maybe a handful of times, and out that I don't remember, but maybe one or two, we're not getting high. Rose told me you were a model, but it's got terrible typing and no punctuation whatsoever, so bear with me. Rose told me you were not a model, but trying to be a porn star. Is that true? Oh, wait, I really don't care. But I'll tell you what you were. You were not there every day or when I'd get home from work and she would go to our room and play on the computer and cell phone while I fed kids, changed kids, put them to bed so she could have a break, or when she wanted to go out and work with horses. Who do you think was taking care of the kids? Or the night she would go to the casino, who watched the kids? Or when she said she was going out with her cousin, who watched the kids and changed them and gave them baths, fed them? Nikki, you're so full of it, also saying I wouldn't let her go to your birthday thing. Shit, I didn't even know there was a birthday thing. Sounds like you got a excuse from your supposed best friend. But hey, you were such a great friend, you didn't even know her that her horse Jack was no longer with her, and that happened before we were together, so I guess back then your drug cloud might be affecting your memory, or you just want to lie to pretend you know more than you do. I can deal with the lies and the rumours and the bullshit at me, but to say I didn't do anything to help my kids is way too far, as you were barely around, and when you two sitted about getting high, but hey, who knows what you did while I was working. I've heard a lot of rumours about that as well, but it's just rumours with no proof, so I won't post it. But to say I didn't do anything to help is straight up lie. I hope karma bites you in the butt. So this banter goes back and forth, and then he comes in for a second go. Just telling you what I heard, and as I said, you were only around a handful of times while I was home, so you truly have no real clue of what was what, and hey, glad you're clean now, good for you, I'm truly glad to hear that. So yes, you're correct, I gave my wifey money every week, and very often. Now, did I always know what she did with it? Not all the time, but yes, I knew she bought pot. But as far as me not doing anything, you are so messed up and know how I was treated. You would have to be around to know that, and you were not very often. And as far as Rose being slandered, I haven't seen anything that I could confirm is a complete lie. There's a lot I didn't know about her that I learned in the first few weeks of the investigation, I think he means. If I married her and didn't know, how do you, when you were not around hardly at all? As I said, you are full of it, or definitely being lied to, but those days, that does not surprise me, and I'm glad you have talked to law enforcement, because in 2015 you said they had not even talked to you, so yeah. Also talk shit that I didn't do anything for my kids is a lie, and also very low, even for you. I understand you being misinformed or lied to and running with it, but that is strange bullshit. Oddly enough, I didn't actually see anywhere that she accused him of anything in particular. Anyway, that's just a sample of the husband's victim bashing. And I'll also just note here that this conversation all went down yesterday, the 29th of August. And it's a good thing it went down on Andrew Vitale's Facebook group, because he's the lead investigator, so if anything suspicious is going on here, which it looks to me like there's probably something suspicious going on here, he's watching over it. And of course, in true Facebook style, everything turns into a shit show for a bit. But I just want to go forward to Chris's self-pity post. He says it started out as accused Chris, not find Rose page, and has continued to be lies and bullshit about me. So when people have a different opinion and ask questions and stand up for me, now it's a problem. Do you know how one-sided that sounds? Thought I was innocent till proven guilty. Well, obviously there is no proof, and I know I'm not guilty, so there can't be proof. But I guess I'm supposed to just sit here and have my name slandered all over with no proof to back up what's said. Okay, well, it's only okay if I'm the bad guy, not okay if someone else knew that her claims to be Rose's best friend is asked about stuff and dug into it. Sorry, not everyone believes what you think they should. So he's like, doesn't really care what terrible things are being said about Rose in this group. He just cares about what terrible things are being said about him in this group. And yeah, that's not a very good look, Chris. Anyway, this gives you a little bit of background on why the Bly family think Chris has something to do with Rose's disappearance. Now we'll have a look at Christopher Larson's Facebook profile. I just clicked one of these comments and it clicked through to here. And as you can see, that's Christopher Larson. He's got all these comments turned off, so there's nothing there that I can see other than his Facebook profile picture, and, well, it's got a bit of a Barry Morphew feel about it, don't you reckon? Something tells me he's not using a dart gun to knock the antlers off. But in all fairness, Candy and Kenneth both have hunting licenses that date all the way forwards to 2015 and later fishing and hunting licenses, so Christopher's not alone with his hunting hobbies. Now, the last thing about Christopher that we should talk about is this newspaper article that says, in the middle of the night, he called Rosie's sister in Prairie Farm to see if Rosie was there. And then several hours later, he drives out to the cousin's place to see if Rosie's there as well. Now, the odd thing about Rosie's sister is that her name is also Jeannie. That is, it's not the same Jeannie as Don's stepsister. And Jeannie has a very interesting tie into this whole story. But because we're getting close to an hour, I'm going to wrap it up. And I'm going to do a second video discussing the Jeannie situation and what she has to do with the whole story. But to finish it and to give you something to consider, Jeannie posted something in a new group, and this was also yesterday. There's a new group that's been made by these other trolls who just want to dig into it further, and they've been pulled up by the lead investigator on the old group, so they've made a new group. Anyway, I just wanted to show this because this will lead us into the next episode. So this is written by John Howrah. He says, Jeannie, was this before you slept with him? Oops, I bet family shouldn't ask this. So there you go. Stay tuned for part 2 of the Rose Bly mystery, where I will attempt to put to rest yet another rumour about Summer Wells' mum Candus having some sort of involvement in Rose Bly's disappearance. So, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you get notified about the next video. Bye.